listening to Part of the Problem on the Gas Digital Network.
The basis for the revocation is bogus. Mr. Trump and his administration didn't adhere even to the process that they reaffirmed last year. And the politicization of security clearances, either the granting or the revocation, is a real threat to our national security, which is why so many people came out and opposed his action.
Pause it.
And so I certainly...
How? How is it a threat to our national security? You notice nobody ever has to answer that question. Oh, well, he didn't follow the process. Okay, so he started a new process. His new process is if you call me treasonous, I'm revoking your national security. Okay, so I'm revoking your security clearance. Oh, well, this is dangerous to national security. How? Why does no one ask that question, ever? How is this dangerous to national security? Like, specifically, how is John Brennan not having security clearance dangerous to our national security? Because I thought the left used to realize that that's a bullshit claim to just say, oh, it's dangerous to national security. Therefore, stop asking questions and go away. How? How is it dangerous? No one seems to think they have to say.
It's so stupid. The idea is that if there's a question about our security that only he can answer, that there's no other person that can answer, he won't be able to answer it anymore. And do any of us believe that that's true?
Hey, John Brennan, how do we drone bomb American citizens?
Right, and what are the questions that he knows?
Oh, wait, no one cares about that anymore, I guess, huh? Oh, yeah, drone bombing. Oh, yeah, the whole drone program. Oh, that's the guy who oversaw it. Oh, yeah, nobody cares about that shit anymore. Oh, hey, John, I wanted to know the most effective way to arm Al-Qaeda. Since you're the expert on that, could you fill me in? All right, let's keep playing.
So many people came out for you.
Pause it. Pause it again.
Raven.
Yes, the entire military-industrial complex came out for you. Yes, a bunch of ex-spies, most of whom should all be in jail. Yes, they came out for you. Even Clapper came out for you. Even the guy who lied us into the war in Iraq and lied to the American people about the NSA's bulk data collection. Even that guy came out for you.
But thunderous applause from the sheep in the audience.
Unfucking believable. And this is Bill Maher's audience, man. Whew. This shit is just surreal. All right, let's keep going.
He said, please revoke my security clearance. It would be an honor, considering what you did to...
Hold on, pause it. It would be an honor. Wouldn't it be dangerous to national security?
You mean two of these experts we can't call upon anymore?
Holy shit.
I thought we cared about the security.
Now just for principle, you'll say, please revoke my national, my security clearance, because that would be an honor. But wouldn't it be dangerous? I thought it was dangerous to revoke people's national security. Now we can just do it as protest, huh?
Oh, that's a great point.
That's interesting. That's so fucking interesting. So it's not about national security. It's just about being anti-Trump. Let's keep going.
Yeah, so everybody with a brain is on your side.
Yes, of course. Everybody with a brain. Just everybody with a brain doesn't question the CIA and says that they're always right about everything. That's everyone with a brain, I guess, Bill Maher.
That's also just so Bill Maher.
Yeah,
like, of course, if you're thinking, of course you see it the same way I do.
Yes, of course. You can't possibly question the guy who created ISIS, who was drone bombing American citizens, who was just slaughtering people in the Middle East. You can't question that guy. You can't even ask the question, why? Oh, it's a matter of national security. Why? Can't even ask that, because that's something a brainless person would ask.
Jared and Ivanka still have clearances. You, one of the guys who was the architect of getting bin Laden, does not.
Yeah. Well, it seems as though Rand Paul was the one who put this idea in Donald Trump's head. And
dead to me, Rand Paul.
You know what? Bill Maher, you're fucking dead to me. Rand Paul's dead to you because he questioned the fucking CIA. By the way, Bill Maher was a guy who fucking supposedly opposed these wars a while back. Had Ron Paul on and basically just agreed with him. He was like, yep, you're absolutely right. We're inciting more hatred than we're causing. Agreed with him on blowback when Ron Paul was making that argument. That basically, slaughtering all these people in the Middle East has made them hate him a bunch. But so is it that big a shock to you that his son would also be skeptical of the fucking deep state? That he's dead to you? He's dead to you because he's skeptical about what former CIA heads are doing? Now, fuck Bill Maher. You're dead to me.
Has never served on the Intelligence Committee. He knows not of which he speaks, but yet he has this impression that I'm monetizing security clearances, so he continues to spout out on these issues. But again, I believe very strongly in the principle that national security is one of the most sacred and solemn professions in this government. And every American citizen deserves to have national security professionals, intelligence professionals, who are not going to be political, not going to be politicized, and no president ever should take that capability away from them.
Okay, let's pause it for a second. Not be political, not be politicized. Because this guy who's coming out tweeting that Donald Trump is guilty of treason, who's on MSNBC, who was Obama's CIA head, this guy isn't politicized at all. No, he's just beyond that. Rand Paul knows not of what he speaks, right? Well, he knows enough to know that you're fucking corrupt as shit.
I like how he's invoking the Shakespeare talk, too. Mm-hmm. Knows not for which he speaks.
All right, let's keep going.
So, you know, I've been having a hell of a time here on this show trying to get my guests to say the word treason. I think the president is guilty of that, and you used terms like that. You said after Helsinki, it was nothing short of treasonous, which sounds to me like treasonous. And then I noticed this last week, some people tried to get you to take it back, and you wouldn't. And again, I don't understand why people are so reluctant. I get it, it's a scary word. It's like, you know, don't break this glass case unless you need the... But when it's time to break the glass case, don't not do it just because it's a glass case.
Yes, and I'm not an official of the Department of Justice where I'm issuing an indictment of Donald Trump on treason. But there are two principal reasons why I use that term. One is that I think I exhausted all the other adjectives in the English language to
pause it.
To describe.
Oh, I thought you weren't politicized at all. But you've exhausted every other word in the English language, so that's why you go to treason. Because, I've used up all the other words, and they don't really seem to be having that much of an effect. So I guess I'll just say treason. But I'm not like an official member of the Justice Department issuing an indictment. I'm just the former head of the CIA calling the president guilty of treason. But, you can't have people who are politicized.
Donald Trump.
I'll tell you, you know what bothers me more than anything he's saying, or the fucking pussy softball questions that Bill Maher's asking, is the crowd reaction. That you could actually get a left liberal crowd this excited while a CIA head is spouting such utter bullshit and just hiding behind national security and professionals. What? Oh, man. All right, keep playing.
Fulfill his responsibilities as President of the United States, number one. Number two, but when I saw him on that stage in Helsinki, failing to be able to say to the world and to Vladimir Putin, Russia tried to interfere in our election. It never should have happened. It never should happen again. And if it does, Russia's going to pay some very severe consequences as a result. But he didn't do that. And so treasonous is defined as...
So he didn't say what I want him to say. He didn't say, I wanted him to say, Russia is bad, and they did this thing, and they can't do it again. But he didn't say that. So there's treason. That's it. It's almost as if the current president doesn't take orders from the former head of the CIA. Is that treason? Who the fuck is actually running this shit, man? I thought he's the commander-in-chief. He has to say what you want him to say? Keep playing this. This part's interesting.
As a betrayal of trust.
Treason is a betrayal of trust.
Aiding and abetting the enemy. And so that was the word that came to my mind. Now, I wasn't expecting Vladimir Putin to say, okay, you caught me. He's going to continue to deny this. But this was an opportunity for Donald Trump to fulfill his responsibilities, to say, Russia, cut this out. Don't do it again. And if you do it, you're going to pay a cost. And be able to say to everybody...
Pause it again. So he didn't say, Russia, cut this out. And if you do it again, you're going to pay a cost. So Donald Trump didn't choose to say that. He chose to make nice with Putin. This, by the way, is the great crime that Donald Trump is guilty of. He's making peace with Russia. My God. Détente with a nuclear-armed superpower. My God. Not even a superpower. They got a GDP smaller than Italy, but they got a whole lot of nukes. You know, they sure as fuck have a whole lot of nukes. So this is the crime that Donald Trump's guilty of. I wonder, what about Putin? Does he get to call the United States out for any of their actions? Does he get to say, hey, you know, you guys have just been remaking the Middle East in your image. You've been launching wars of aggression and killing countless innocent people. You've absolutely destroyed the nation of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Yemen. There's a fucking genocide going on in Yemen right now, man. And it's strictly because the U.S. is supporting the Saudis in what they're doing. There's a fucking genocide going on right now. Does he get to call us out for that? Oh, no. But we have to call Putin out for some Facebook bots? How fucking ridiculous is this, man?
I also love that he learned his diplomacy from Full House, that he's upset that Trump wasn't over there going, you better cut it out. Russia, I'm watching you, cut it out.
He could have just gone with the classic Uncle Joey.
Yeah, if he had just done that, he would have been okay with the entire left.
But isn't it really unbelievable that they go, well, why is he guilty of treason? Well, he didn't say this sentence that I wanted him to say.
But there's no deep state.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's just our elected officials doing their jobs.
That's right. All right, let's keep playing.
And if he said that, he could have said, now, though, we have to work, United States and Russia, to be able to try to enhance stability and security around the globe. There are important things for the United States and Russia to do. I am very much supportive of trying to get relations between the two countries back on track. Critically important, the two largest nuclear superpowers in the world, but we cannot ignore what it is that the Russians try to do. And so when Donald Trump failed to do that, I was irate, because I know how hard that professionals here in the intelligence community work to try to keep this country strong and safe. And for Donald Trump to be up there and to fail to say that,
he takes their side and not ours. That's a traitor. He calls you a lowlife. You, who spent your life defending this country, especially after 9/11, when we had all sorts of problems, and it could have gone way worse than it did.
All right, you know what? Yeah, it could have gone way worse, Bill Maher. But I don't know if you've checked the record. It went pretty fucking bad. It went pretty bad. Like, think about that. How this is the crazy thing where other people will come at like the right-wing libertarians and be like, oh, you guys are like racist, or you guys are anti, whatever it is, like they're the anti-cosmopolitan, or the fucking, like, we're these backward people. But you know, how easy is Bill Maher able to brush off starting a war that we should never have been in? Like the CIA lying us into a fucking war, torturing people, and destroying entire nations. And it goes like, okay, you know, things could have gone worse. They could have gone worse. Like, you can just brush off the hundreds of thousands of innocent people that were slaughtered that easily. You're right. Things could have gone worse. They always could have gone worse. But you know, they could have gone better. They could have gone better. And it wasn't Brennan at the time, but I mean, it certainly was Clapper, who he said came to Brennan's defense before. But maybe it wasn't Brennan, but you know, the CIA was instrumental in that. It's like, yeah, it could have gone a lot better if the CIA hadn't lied us into a fucking war, hadn't tortured people, hadn't started a drone bombing campaign. Like, yeah, it could have gone a lot better. What a fucking softball lob question. And so people like you, he called you a lowlife. Well, first of all, John Brennan called him guilty of treason for not saying what he wanted him to say. All right? And then Trump responds by calling Brennan a lowlife. And the outrage is that he called him a lowlife. Since when is calling someone a lowlife more of a like incendiary remark than saying someone's guilty of treason? Let's keep going.
General Clapper, is he a general?
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Yes, he is.
they got to him. Like you could get to a guy like that. He's not on our side. You're not on our side. You are a traitor if you're attacking our generals and admirals and people who keep us safe. It's not that much more complicated
Okay,
than that to me.
so let's just get Bill Maher on the record. If you attack the military-industrial complex, you're not on, quote, our side. You're a traitor. If you criticize the military-industrial complex, because that's our side, you know? That's just us. The military-industrial complex, that's us. It's America. It's the people. It's the hills and the mountains and the valleys and the roads and the cities and the country. That's us. The CIA, the NSA. That's us. You can't criticize them. Well, are you with us or are you them? That's us good, them bad. But of course, everyone who disagrees with Bill Maher is brainless, right? Wasn't that his word? Fucking joke. Keep playing.
Raven and Jim Clapper and Mike Cade and
All
the
of them.
others, the ones who are speaking out. I didn't want to speak out after I left the government. I wanted to be able to, retire and be able to spend time with family. But this is a very abnormal time. This is a very abnormal presidency, and the stakes are so high. That's why I've decided to speak out and be outspoken.
And I can see it's not.
What a hero. He's not just taking his CNN dollars and working.
MSNBC.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, what a hero.
Yes, that's right. I really wanted to go away. It reminds me of when Mitt Romney used to always say, I never wanted to be president.
Right.
Like, really? But you ran for it twice. You seem to kind of want this. Now you're running for Senate. You seem to kind of want it. Really? Oh, thank you so much. That's right. All right, let's end. Bill Maher, of course, agrees with him.
Easy for you.
It's not.
I see it. Believe me, I've been talking to people on TV for 25 years. I can see when it's not easy. And people don't generally go into the CIA for publicity.
Pause it. Good one, Bill Maher. People don't usually go into the CIA for publicity. Okay, fair enough. How about people who go into being correspondents and contributors for MSNBC? Do they do that for publicity? How about people who go on Bill Maher's show Real Time? Oh, wait, hold on. I thought you said at the beginning of this that you booked him before his security clearance was revoked, right? So he already wanted to go on your show. How about former heads of the CIA who publicly claim that the president is guilty of treason? Do they do that for publicity? No, of course not. Good one, Bill. You don't go into the CIA for publicity, do you? You're right. You got him. This guy wants nothing to do with publicity. He's doing everything he can to stay in the shadows. Am I right? That's why he's on the TV all the time, because he doesn't want publicity. Keep going.
So, but what do you? But let's take the opposite of that. Donald Trump, who confesses everything openly. What do you make of this strategy that seems to be working so beautifully? Like this week, he just said right on the air, I hired Jeff Sessions as the Attorney General totally because I expected his loyalty. I mean, that to me, that's impeachable. Well, the thing he said about to Lester Holt about he fired Comey. He said it out loud. He said, Russia, if you're listening, I hope you can find Hillary Clinton's emails. I feel like if these things were things we hacked, if we found surreptitiously, if we got a hold of his diary, oh my God, look what he said. We'd be like, we got the smoking gun. But because he says it blatantly and out front, people seem to just accept.
Well, he's trying to normalize all this behavior. And he's also trying to undermine the institutions of government and those individuals who he believes threaten him. And so therefore, he's trying to undermine the intelligence community, the law enforcement community. He's taken a page out of the playbook of autocrats and authoritarians around the world who try to co-opt judiciaries, who try to delegitimize the free press.
So imagine, so he says he's trying to undermine the intelligence community. God, I love that term, the intelligence community, right? Like they're just basically a bunch of hippies who fucking, live together and water each other's plants and, talk about their days, the intelligence community. The network of fucking spy killers, in other words. But then he says he's trying to undermine law enforcement. Like, I wish that was fucking true. Donald Trump, the guy who praises the cops and the military at every fucking turn that he can, is trying to undermine law enforcement. God, I almost wish that part of what Brennan's saying was true.
Who try to use intelligence security services to go after their rivals. So Donald Trump is the typical authoritarian who's trying to control power. And as he becomes more desperate, and I think that's what we're seeing now, because the walls are closing in on him, as all the people who used to work with him are now cooperating or testifying about what happened. I've been angry because we have somebody in the Oval Office who has really denigrated the office of the presidency. His dishonesty, he's unethical, he doesn't have principles. And I am very concerned, though. More than angry, I'm worried. Because now we are in a crisis.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the Republicans, John McCain, a national treasure and hero, and our thoughts and prayers go out to John McCain and his family. I got into some real Donnybrook fights with John McCain over policy. I never once questioned his integrity and his interest in doing what is best for this country. But since John McCain has left the Hill, the Republican spines have gone with him. And there needs to be some reckoning in the Republican Party that we can't allow this to go on.
And we have an election coming up, and I'm trying to convince people, and it's hard because, you know, a lot of us in the past said, this is a very important election and blah, blah, blah. This is the one. I think we are in a crisis that is the third great crisis in American history, more than the Depression. First, of course, the Revolutionary War, whether we would even become a country. Then the Civil War. People usually say then the Depression. I don't think the Depression got at what is most fundamental about this country. It was economic, but I don't think it threatened the rule of law as we do.
All right, so let's pause.
Would you rank
I don't even know, man. How do you even take that apart? This is worse than the Great Depression. People fucking starving. This is worse. This is worse than that, man. This is the great crisis, is that Donald Trump is fucking questioning the CIA. My God. And just think about the mentality, right? And this is the fucking gangster, government, killer mentality, where you'd say someone like John McCain. Now, me and him may have disagreed all the time, but I always knew he was a great guy. Like, he may have thought we should invade a country where I think we should just use targeted drone strikes. But at the end of the day, I knew John McCain was a good man. But Donald Trump went and tried to make peace with Russia. I mean, that's really what's being said here, right? That is what he's saying. John McCain, the man who never saw a war he didn't want to fight, and the head of the CIA who armed al-Qaeda, which, you know, the branch of al-Nusra that turned into ISIS, and really they were already ISIS, but whatever, that's beside the point. The guy who supported ISIS has just, between John McCain and John Brennan, the amount of dead people that are on their, the amount of blood that's on their hands, well, it would probably take a long time to actually tally it up, but it's a lot. It's a lot. But we're two killers who, at the end of the day, even though we disagree, we know we both want to kill. So that's okay. But Donald Trump sat down with Vladimir Putin and was kind to him? That's really fucking, that's just outrageous. Then this is worse than the Depression. You know, we've had a few difficult times. We've had a few true tests of our union. I mean, you know, there was the Revolution, there was the Civil War, there was the Great Depression, but Donald Trump saying nice things about Vladimir Putin. I mean, I think this one, it's definitely worse than the Depression, because that was just an economic problem, right, Rob? I mean, it's just economics. Who really cares about that? This is Bill Maher, the guy who roots for a recession if it'll hurt Donald Trump. Talk about being removed from fucking reality, from being removed from what real suffering and struggling is. Well, that was just the Great Depression. It was just an economic problem. I mean, sure, people are like starving to death. People are literally, you know, untold, like immeasurable amounts of actual human suffering. I mean, that's one thing, but Donald Trump didn't say what I wanted him to say in Helsinki. This is a real crisis. This is real, man. I'm not fucking adding anything to this. Am I? You tell me if I'm fucking wrong. This is Bill Maher, and he's going to say Rand Paul is dead to him? Good. I hope Rand Paul is dead to you. To anyone who subscribes to this line of logic, I would hope I'm dead to you and everyone who's anything like me is dead to you. Let's watch the end of this shit show.
The crisis we're in now that way?
I would, and I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, because don't forget, Donald Trump has the authority of the President of the United States in his hands.
Right.
In terms of what he can do domestically here, as well as what he can do internationally, to try to distract attention, whether or not he's going to pursue some type of foreign adventure, military or otherwise.
Right.
But
Military or otherwise.
what he's doing to this country, he's dividing us. We Americans, as you pointed out, Revolutionary War and Civil War, we fought hard for the freedoms and liberties that we have right now. And so he's dividing Americans. And so I'm really concerned that as he continues to play to his base, he's further dividing us.
Let's pause that for a second.
And
I'm afraid he could start some conflict, military or otherwise. I don't exactly get what otherwise means, but if you mean starting a military conflict, what do you mean? Like starting a war in Iraq based off bullshit fucking propaganda? Like overthrowing the government of Libya based off bullshit propaganda? Like inciting a civil war in Syria, even if it means siding with fucking Al-Qaeda? Is the concern actually that he's going to start a military conflict? I thought what you're accusing him of was being too friendly with another country.
I also say, the left being sore losers than the right does not make the country more or less divided than it ever was.
Oh, no. You have to understand, we're so divided right now. See, that's the difference between the Civil War and now, Rob, is that we're so divided.
Yeah.
In the Civil War, we were just fighting for liberties, as John Brennan would say. We were just fighting for liberties, but now we're divided. In the Civil War, when we were actually taking up arms against each other, when Abraham Lincoln actually invaded his fellow citizens, conscripted an army in the North to go fucking fight his fellow citizens for wanting to secede. Don't get it twisted. Not for having slavery, which, of course, every decent person is against slavery. But you know where else there was slavery? In the North. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't even end slavery in the North, only in the South. There was still slavery in the North. And oh, by the way, if you consider conscription slavery, then Abraham Lincoln actually added additional slavery, which of course it is, and he did.
And definitely more deaths.
Yeah. What was it? 600,000 people died in the Civil War? I don't know what our population at the time was, but it was a nice chunk. A nice chunk. But no, but the difference between the Civil War and now is that, we're divided.